the Canadian press.
Canada. I'm also pointing out the fact that Poland has most likely broken up to 5 international treaties, and under our Charter of Freedom and Rights, Section 132, the government has the power to take action against another nation that breaks international treaties. And it's not just myself. There's many parents across Canada facing the same problem. A lot of the parents are here with me. We've started our own association, and we're going to help to provide some new laws and tools to the courts and to the government to help out to avoid this type of tragedy to other families as well.
Do you think that the judge in his sentencing, he said that, nothing he can, any sentence that he gives today, it doesn't give him the power to bring your children back. Do you think that, he, bounded by your ex-father-in-law's ailing health, do you think that the judge was, his sentence was the strictest that he could have given, and you think it will deter other people, perhaps in the same situation, to do something like that?
I've seen a lot of case files and read a lot of case files. Even though the Canadian Criminal Code says up to 10 years, the judge was on the ball with 18 months. That seems to be what's going on across the country. With this case, a little bit different, obviously. He was not the direct custodial parent. He was not the parent. He assisted in the abduction, which may be the first of its kind. Is it fair? No. Absolutely, the judge can't promise to bring my kids home. It's not in his power. But I think he has had to rule fairly, considering that his father-in-law is 77 years old.
What do you think about, the strict conditions that he's not to have any contact with your ex-wife or provide her any more financial support in any way?
Yeah, that's interesting. No contact, no financial support. I want to know how could someone, how will they monitor this? He's living at home. I don't think the police are going to wiretap his phone and check his bank account. So I appreciate what the judge has said, but how are they going to make sure that that's happening? You know what? I'm strongly believe he's going to go home and pick up the phone and be on the phone tonight.
So can you update me on, last week, this case where you were in Warsaw, and the judge, the courts there just said that they aren't going to compel the children to be brought back to Canada. So where are you in that legal situation in Poland?
The appeal case was dismissed. A little tidbit of information. I, up to this day, still don't know what the ruling is from the first Hague case and from the second appeal, because Poland has broken another treaty, actually 2 treaties, and has not put the ruling in English. I don't even know what the ruling is. There's a lot of these little things going on with Poland and other countries. The second appeal was just dismissed, and for what reason I don't know. But we believe that there's a lot of reasons that the Polish courts have broken a lot of treaties.
So there's no other legal recourse for you in Poland?
Oh, absolutely. The next step is I'm bringing this to the Supreme Court in Poland, and I'll tell you right now, I know they're going to side because they're protecting their nationals. And after this, I'm going to take Poland to court in the EU, just like so many other parents. And Poland is found guilty, they're fined, and they're ordered to send the kids back. And it's like I said, no parent should have to fight this hard to get their kids home.
How much money have you spent on legal action?
And it's not just legal. You've got to realize my kids were missing for 2.5 years, so there was a lot of investigative services. On international cases, obviously, as much as I appreciate the RCMP was able to help a lot, they can't really dive in and do a lot of different things. You have to hire private investigators. So, tens and tens of thousands of dollars. I have not met a person, another parent who has not spent less than $100,000 trying to get their kids home.
So your kids were abducted in March 2009, and you didn't know their whereabouts until?
For 2.5 years.
For 2.5 years, okay. And since then, I think the judge mentioned that you have seen them on several occasions?
I saw them the 2 times I went to Poland at some point.
Okay. And that was just, I guess, you've seen them before, I guess, when you went to court with you, or?
No, the first time around I had a court order to have access,
Okay.
and it was hit and miss if I could see them or not. The second time I was able to see them for a few hours on two days.
Okay.
But understand, it's a position where, you know, my ex-wife was trying to play up on the Polish courts to show that she's good. So, I mean, there was no court order. If I were to go to Poland right now, there's no, even though I have sole custody, there's, you know, I won't be able to see them.
Is there, so did the Polish courts was there any kind of finding of guilt on your wife or your ex-wife, or was it just, they just ruled specifically on the deportation order?
Like I said, I don't know the details of the ruling. It's not in English, which is, again, part of two or three treaties. So I don't know what the decisions are. One of the problems that we learned, the Polish courts knew where my sons were for 11 months, and they didn't contact me for almost a year.
So you actually found out their whereabouts in the courts?
It was the Polish court orders that provided us the evidence. So if your kids go missing and they're purposely in hiding, and then the courts find out over there, but then wait 11 months to serve you, and then they turn around and say, oh, sorry, they've been here too long. You can't do that. I mean, that's not how the treaties were created. I'm completely disregarding that. You know, and it's not just my case. It's happening, you know, in certain countries. It's happening with black hats.
So I mean, you know, in general, you're calling just for the federal government to step in and essentially bring your kids back.
I know it's going to be extremely difficult. I am in contact with many parents from around the world, parents that have orders for return, and we're dealing with certain countries that are black holes. In Europe, Poland is the black hole. If your kid gets abducted to Poland, you know, chances of getting your kid out is impossible. And this is not just Canada. This is Australia, this is the UK, this is countries all over the world. So I'm raising awareness that this is going on. It's not just my kids. There are countries like Brazil is another black hole. And also Japan. If your child is abducted to Japan, they never come home. And you know what? All these nations have signed multiple treaties. So now I'm calling on the federal government to look at our treaties that have been broken and to take action.
And just, I guess, just lastly, can you just talk a little bit about the impact, you know, the judge touched a little bit in the sentencing hearing about how your ex-wife is essentially poisoned your relationship with your children, they don't call you their father anymore. Can you talk a little bit about how that has made you feel?
You know, this is to be expected when you're dealing with a child abduction, either within the country or an international abduction. An ingredient of child abduction is parental alienation, and that's something that more people are becoming aware of. And that's when one parent berates the other parent in front of the children. And this is what's going on, just to a level where it's extreme. I can tell you though, we're in a situation where, just like Stockholm Syndrome, the kids are stuck. They've only known one parent the whole time. That parent takes care of them. So they have to play up on that parent. Now, when children are removed from that scenario in an international child abduction, and after a month or two, they change. So, are they calling me by my first name? Yes, but that's only because they're trying to please the other parent. And we see this all the time.
So you think that, you know, if you ever get your children back, you will, you know, are hopeful that you will repair your relationship?
Yes, because, see, something really interesting happened last time when I was in Poland.
I had a good day with Alexander on the first day, and I have to remind, Alexander has high-functioning autism, so he's a little bit different than most kids. And something really interesting happened that was witnessed. When I was saying goodbye, he came over and he hugged me and he said, "I love you, Dad." And then he pulled away and said, "What am I doing?" So it was, you know, they're coached, right? This is what happens in these situations. You know, and I think there's, you know, we have some strategies and ideas that we'd like to put forward, that we can identify this, and then we can avoid having this happening to other Canadian parents. And that's actually why we got this association called the iCHAPEAU.
And do you think that they're aware of this, you know, this whole legal battle between you and your ex-wife, or I guess on the sense of it?
You know, it's all hearsay at this point, right? I think my sons are exposed to everything, but only so that it can be twisted and turned to make me look bad. But again, I don't know. I can't confirm that.
Great.
The Canadian Press.
Canada's iCHAPEAU, International Child Harboring and Abduction Prevention Enforcement Act, under law. Scan this QR code with your mobile device using a QR code reader app. Let your voice be heard. Like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/iCHAPEAU.